Welcome. This is our math lesson for today. And as you can see, we're going to be doing math and exponents. So let's get right to it. Just to make sure you all have your books, you should have been given directions by the substitute and I'm thinking it was whoever sits in seat number 2 is passing out the journals. So make sure you have passed out the journals to everyone in your group and open up to page 55. And again, the lesson is going to be in exponents. So here we go. Taking a look at what are we learning? Well, today we're going to learn how to write and evaluate numerical expressions involving whole number exponents. Why are we learning this? Well, exponents are an important concept used by mathematicians and scientists. It's like shorthand for numbers. When you have to write particularly very large numbers, it makes it easier to represent those if you're using exponents. And how we will know we have learned this? Well, we'll be able to examine each problem and then write each problem in each form. And if you're thinking, I don't know what you mean, there's too many eaches there, you'll see as we go along. So, vocabulary. The first vocabulary is base. The number multiplied by itself, the number of times indicated by the exponent. And the exponent is a number that indicates how many times a number or base is multiplied by itself. A factor, numbers that are multiplied together and create a product. 2 to the third power. 2 is the base. The exponent 3 tells you you're going to multiply 2 times 2 times 2. And these 3 2's are the factors. 2 to the third power is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So 2 to the third power is the same as 2 times 2 times 2, or 8. Now, expanded form. When we looked at 2 to the third power, this is expanded form. I'm taking the base and I'm actually showing it being multiplied 3 times. Exponential notation means you have your base and an exponent to show how many times the base is being multiplied by itself. Squared, a number with an exponent of 2. 4 squared, 5 squared, 100 squared. It tells you you're multiplying the base by itself 2 times. And cubed. Cubed means you're multiplying the base by itself 3 times. So, sentence frames. When you're talking about the steps that you're going to use, first, first you would examine the base and the exponent, and then I write the base in expanded form. Or if you're asking to write it in standard form, I write the value of the base in standard form. And the relationship between the base and the exponent. At the end of the lesson, you're going to be asked to reflect on this. So the base, that's the word that would go here, is the factor to be multiplied, and the exponent is the number that tells how many times the base is used as a factor. Problem of the day. You are going to have 3 minutes, and in that 3-minute time, you are going to be writing down both of the expressions here and combining them. I'm going to move this up. After, we'll keep it 3.5 minutes so we don't have to reset the seconds a little bit later. And then when you're done simplifying both expressions, write your objective for today. Pencils in your hand, ready to go, not just staring at the board. You are writing these down and simplifying them. Ready? Go. And that's time. So let's check and see how you did. Simplify the following expressions. Remember, we've been looking at the variables and the terms, and if the variable is the same, you can combine the coefficients. So I have 35 times W, subtract 20 times W. Well, I can subtract 35 and 20, and that's going to give me 15W. If you also want to cross these out as you do them, so you're sure that you've included everything, that's fine. You can do that. My next two terms are constants. I don't have any variables, so I can combine these. And this tells me to add 4 to 50. So I'm going to have plus 54. And now I have another term with the variable of C, but this variable is D. So I know those cannot be added. I cannot combine the coefficients of 19 and 5. So I'm just going to bring down 19 times C plus 5 times D. And I've combined everything I can. Okay, and again, if you want to cross them out so that you're sure you've included everything, that's fine. You can do that. Now, to my next expression, I have a variable K. I have another variable K. So I can combine 32K plus 10K, and that's going to give me 42K. Plus, I have a variable W, and I have another variable W. 15 plus 20, adding my coefficients, is 35. Oops. 35W. And I have my two constants left. 20 subtract 10. 20 subtract 10 is going to give me 10. So I have my simplified expression, 42K plus 35W plus 10. You should have had enough time to also write your objective. If you did not, you will have to go back and do it at another time because we are moving on. Teacher input model. This is the point where your pencils are down and you're looking up at the screen. So no pencils in your hand, no looking around, no talking, focusing on what we're going to be doing today. The directions, write the exponent in expanded form and standard form. Well, this is where I'm going to show you what these two forms mean. I have 3 to the second power. That does not mean 3 times 2. That means 3, remember this is the base, 3, and the exponent tells me how many times I'm going to multiply the base by itself. 3 times 3, there's my expanded form. I have stretched this out. Standard form, well, 3 times 3 is 9. So expanded form, you're writing out the base, multiplying by itself the number of times that the exponent indicates. Standard form, if you have a numerical base like this, you just multiply the factors together. 3 times 3, 9. So let's take a look at this next one. This one's a little different. I have a numerical base and I have a variable base. Well, expanded form, I'm going to do 5 squared. 5 squared is 5 times 5. E squared, well, I don't know what E is. So how can I square it? Like this. E times E. Now, when it comes to writing standard form, I can multiply this together. 5 times 5 is 25. That is not a problem. But now I'm looking at E times E. I don't know what E is. I don't need to. E times E is E squared. Okay, so expanded form, standard form. Structured guided practice. Pick up your pencil now. We're going to work these together. Remember, you're waiting first so that you're following along with what I am doing, but you are completing the expanded and the standard form along with me, not just watching, along with me. Hold on a moment. I'm sure you're hearing that rattling. That's Bella saying she's thirsty. So take a look at how you think you're going to write 2 to the 4th power, and I'll be right back. Okay, so you have a base of 2 and an exponent of 4. That means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Well, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. Now, the way some of my students in the past have done this, remember, your brain is a pattern seeker, and this is the way, this is the pattern they saw. 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. There is nothing wrong doing it that way. You can multiply 2 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16. I'm sorry. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16. Or you can look at 4 times 4 is 16. Either way is fine. Now, I have a base of 4. I have a base of y. Again, I have a numerical base and I have a variable base. Expanded form means I'm stretching both of them out. 4 to the 2nd power. 4 is going to be a factor 2 times. 4 times 4. Y is going to be a factor 3 times. Y times Y times Y. Standard form, I'm combining. 4 times 4 is 16. Y to the 3rd power, I don't know what Y is, so it's going to stay Y to the 3rd power. Okay, but I've written 4 to the 2nd power in standard form, which is 16. 4 times 4, 16. Give you a moment to get caught up in case you were trying to make sense out of some of this. Okay, here we go. Final check for understanding. Final check for understanding. You're doing this on your own. So there are 2 examples that you're going to do. You're working on both of them. Final check for understanding. You are not working together. So try and do these on your own, and we're going to check back in. And I'm going to give you 1.5 minutes. Go. And time. So let's take a look at 5 to the third power. Remember, the base is what you're going to be multiplying, and the exponent tells you how many times 5 is going to be a factor. 5 times 5 times 5. Well, 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 5, you should have 125. Okay, if you need to correct something, take a moment now and fix it. And then we're going to go on to the next one and see how you did with that. And then we'll be getting into student practice. Okay. The next one, you have a numerical base, 6, and you're going to multiply 6 by itself 2 times. And you have a variable base, a, and you're going to multiply a by itself 4 times. So first, expanded form, 6 times 6. And your variable base in expanded form, a times a times a times a. Standard form, 6 times 6 is 36. But I don't know the value of a. So a times a times a times a, I'm multiplying a by itself 4 times. It stays a to the 4th power. Okay, and I have no doubt that you guys got both of those correct. So let's go on to student practice. And you're looking at 9 to the 3rd power. And this one, again, you have a numerical base and a variable base. And you're multiplying 7 to the 2nd power and g to the 5th power. So pause the video here. I'm going to have you take 3 minutes to do 1 and 2. And at the end of 3 minutes, restart the video and we'll see how you did. Okay? Pencils in your hand. If you want to talk with the person next to you, if you have a question about either one of these, that's fine. But you have just 3 minutes. Ready? Begin. Okay, so 9 to the third power. 9 is your base, and you're multiplying 9 by itself 3 times. 9 times 9 times 9. Well, 9 times 9 is 81. 81 times 9 is 729. Okay, if you need to fix anything, make the changes here. If you needed to come off to the side and do this, 81 times 9, I don't care. I care that you get the correct answer. I don't care if you do this. Now, the second one, 7 to the second power. That means 7 times 7. And g to the fifth power. G times G times G times G times G. And again, I can write 7 to the second power in standard form. That is going to be 49. I can give it numerical standard form. G to the fifth power, I cannot. I don't know the value of G. So until I find out the value of G, that's going to remain G to the fifth power. Okay. Now we're going to move on to the next one. I'm looking at this, 1 to the ninth power. How many of you already looked at that and went, are you kidding me? 1 to the ninth power, 1 times any number is going to give you 1. So I'm going to have 1 times 1 times, I'm going to write that 9 times. Your answer is still 1. And if you looked at that and went, seriously? Good for you. Okay, 4 and 5. And again, I'm going to give you 3 minutes. You have a numerical base and you have a variable base. And notice this one here, cubed. That means it's 3 to the third power. Cubed is another way of saying it. So 3 minutes to work out 4 and 5. Pause the video here, and then we're going to check back in and see how you did. Okay? Pause, and we'll continue in a moment. Okay, here we go. 10 to the second power. That means I'm going to multiply 10 times 10. 10 is the base. The exponent 2 tells you how many times you multiply 10 by itself. And d to the sixth power. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Standard form. 10 times 10, that's 100. D to the sixth power. I don't know what D is, but I know that it's multiplied 6 times, so this is going to stay D to the sixth power. And then I have 3 cubed. Well, again, 3 cubed means 3 to the third power. So I have 3 times 3 times 3. I have a numerical base, and I'm multiplying that base by itself 3 times. The exponent 3 means I multiply 3 times 3 times 3. Well, 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. Okay, and I have no doubt you got both of those correct. Okay, take a moment, make sure You indicated everything in expanded form and then in standard form. And then we're on to our last one, 12 squared. Again, another way to write 12 squared is 12 to the second power. I have a numerical base, and I'm multiplying 12 by itself 2 times. So I'm going to multiply 12 times 12. 12 times 12 is 144. Now, this is the part that I said at the end of the lesson. You're going to be explaining the relationship between the base and the exponent. Okay, we started out the lesson by saying that the base is the factor. The exponent tells you how many times you multiply the base or how many factors of that base you're going to have. So write your relationship between the base number and the exponent. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Make sure it's a complete sentence and that what you're writing is clear. Pause the video here. At the end of 2 minutes, check back in. Okay, and here we go. What you would indicate the relationship between the base number and the exponent is what I had just mentioned. The base is the factor. The exponent tells you how many times you multiply that factor by itself. 12 to the second power, 12 times 12. Okay, now if you're sitting in seat number 3, you're going to pick up the books. You're going to put them back where they belong for the remainder of the period. You may read silently. You may work on any homework that has not been completed. Or if you have homework from Mr. Storch, you may work on that. You will get your problem of the week tomorrow, and we will spend some time working on it. So other than what you're going to get tomorrow, there is no other math homework. But you do need to make sure you turn in your math homework from last night and put it in the homework box. Okay? So read silently, work on other homework silently. And at the end of the period, if you have any homework to turn in, you turn it in then. Otherwise, you do not get out of your seat during class time. Okay? I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye for now.